Taking a live look at Lake Travis this afternoon in this brutal heat. Lakes, rivers, and streams look mighty tempting to Texans to cool off, but a new report published in Environment Texas found water pollution can make those swimming spots dangerous for recreation. Joining me now to talk about the research is Luke Metzger with the Environment Texas. Luke, thanks for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks. Glad to be on.
First, tell us a little bit about why you thought it was important to do this research in the first place.
Well, our swimming holes here in Texas are just a huge part of what makes life so nice and so bearable during these hot temperatures. And so we know people love to get out there, but we want to make sure that they are safe when they're swimming.
You guys tested more than, let me just say, 350 locations in waterways across the state between 2024 and 25. So walk us through the highlights of what researchers found and some of the pitfalls.
Sure. Well, we found that over 59% monitoring locations of rivers, lakes, bayous around Texas had at least one day during those 2 years that were potentially unsafe to swimmers with levels of fecal bacteria that could make you sick. And 53% of them had multiple exceedances where at least a quarter of the time it was potentially unsafe to swim.
That's some alarming numbers.
Yes.
More than 50% there.
That's right.
You know, as I look at the report, one part of the study found persistent E. bacteria risks, specifically in the Blanco River, Down, and Hayes in Blanco counties. So tell us what the research found at that spot that we're highlighting there.
We found that of the 5 testing locations, 3 of them had potentially unsafe levels of fecal bacteria at least once during that time. And that's, of course, a very popular river for swimmers, paddlers, fishermen, et cetera.
What are some of the main factors that can contribute to this kind of contamination that you're zeroed in on?
Well, we know that sewage overflows is a major source of contamination. Just last year, an Austin sewer system overflowed and 115,000 gallons of raw sewage went into a dry creek bed. So we have that. We also just have leaks in septic systems and pipes. And then you also have stormwater. When it rains, all the rain picks up the human and animal waste and rushes them into our creeks where it can cause potential problems for people.
Right, health problems specifically. Yeah,
exactly.
So if someone wants to go swimming and wants to cool off in these waterways, what are some of the precautions they could do, or what alternatives are out there for them?
Well, first, if it does rain, you should wait at least 48, probably at least 72 hours before you go swimming, because there often will be higher levels then. If you have a open wound, you shouldn't swim, or if you're going to, at least cover it to make sure the bacteria doesn't get into your cut. Try not to swallow water while you're swimming, those are some of the best things you could do.
Part of this study was to recommend to policymakers what they can do to improve these conditions, to make the conditions safer for swimmers and anyone who uses the water. What were some of those recommendations? Well,
the good news is that last year, Texas voters approved Proposition 4, which invested a historic amount of money, $1 billion a year for 20 years to invest in our water infrastructure. The legislature said that some of that money can be used also to not just to build new water supplies, but also to clean up the water we do have. And so we want to make sure that lawmakers follow through and invest in cleaning up wastewater infrastructure, fixing those leaking pipes, upgrading the wastewater treatment plants so that the raw sewage isn't going into our water.
Is that enough money?
No. Texas 2036, a think tank, estimates that we're going to need to spend at least $21 billion over the next 50 years just on the wastewater side, not counting all the new water supplies that we need. So we're going to need more money too.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Luke Metzger with Environment Texas, thanks for being here with us. Thanks for the warning.
Yeah, you bet.
We'll be right back.